Welcome to 502 Entrepreneurs, Louisville's podcast featuring local business owners, entrepreneurs, and side hustlers, all who have a story to tell. I'm your host, Carl Armijo, owner and operator of Carl Armijo Photography and Louisville Cleaning Pros. Today's guest is Dr. Mike Norman with Modern Chiropractic and Wellness Center, who shares with us his approach to health and wellness. All right. Dr. Mike, hey, glad to have you here on our 502 Entrepreneurs podcast here. It's great to have you in the studio. I've been looking forward to talking to you about your business. I know you're into the health space and helping people become healthy, well, getting them feeling better. So that's like a perfect topic for the end of the year, start of the new year. Everyone's looking to start getting healthy and feel better. So why don't you introduce yourself, tell us who you are, what your company is, and kind of what you do.
Right, Carl. Thanks. I've been looking forward to coming in and talking with you on the podcast. I like the studio. Things are looking good. So my name is Dr. Michael Norman. I'm a chiropractor in Kentucky and Indiana also. My business is called Modern Chiropractic and Wellness Center. And what basically the chiropractors want to do, just in general, is we just want to get people healthy and keep them healthy. We are the health-minded profession that you're looking for, and we want to do things naturally without drugs. The fundamental thing that we do is to get people healthy and keep them healthy. And we can branch out from that into a lot of different spaces.
Yeah, I know. I think the word I use to describe you most of the time is passionate. You're very passionate about helping people get healthy and, getting there. And you have a lot of techniques and tools that you do, chiropractic being one of them. The wellness center being the other one that you're trying to branch more out to and grow. Why don't you touch a little bit on the chiropractic side of things first, and then we could move into like the wellness side of things and kind of what you're doing there.
Well, if to touch on the chiropractic, one thing that chiropractors do, and we're really the only profession that I know of that really does this, is we ask why did that happen? And then we go address the why did that happen part of it. A lot of people come in pain and they think that the pain is actually the problem. But this is very important, Carl. The problem and the symptoms of the problem are never, ever, ever the same thing. But we've been trained to think that the symptoms of the problem are the actual problem. We've been trained to think that the symptoms of neck pain and back pain is the problem. Now, let me tell you, it might be your problem, but it's not the underlying problem. And if you only treat the pain, if you only treat the symptoms of the problem and you leave the problem intact, then it's never going to get better. And it's only going to keep coming back. And just by the very word symptom of pain, deep down, it's not the problem because it's the symptom of the problem. And that's a big deal because we've been trained to think that the symptoms of our problem are the actual problem. And we never, ever treat the underlying problem. So the symptoms always return and things get worse over time. They never get better if you don't treat the actual underlying problem. In terms of chiropractic, neck pain, look at all the people who are on their phones all the time and they're hunched over and their heads go forward and their shoulders round off and they sit in a chair all day long at a computer and then they go and get in a car or a truck and they sit there and drive and then they go home and they sit in a chair and eat dinner and then they go sit on the couch and all day long we're hunched over and we wonder why our neck and back hurt.
Right, yeah.
So if we just want to go treat the neck and back pain, then the problem is that we're getting hunched over and we're never actually stretching backwards at all. If you don't want to be that hunched over old guy, you need to start stretching backwards on a daily basis and get back into extension. That is how you correct a problem, is you start making lifestyle changes that make your spine shaped the way it's supposed to be. And with the lower back, we should have hips that are level. And a lot of times people's hips aren't level. And a lot of times if their hip is low on one side, they're going to have a shoulder that's high on the same side. Now, if your house was low on one side, do you think your doors and your windows would shut and open properly?
Yeah, probably not.
Do you think if you replaced the windows and doors, it would help?
No.
Not long.
No.
Because the house is unlevel. You've got to jack that side of the house up and balance it out, just like you got to balance out their hips. You've got to look and see if their spine is misaligned. And if they have a misaligned spine, they're going to have problems out of it. Just like if your car front end was misaligned, you're going to have problems out of your tire.
Yeah.
You can change that tire all day long, but you got to fix that front end problem.
Are most misalignments lifestyle related, or are they genetic? Are they people born with it, or like what?
No.
What do you see mostly?
No, people aren't born with it. Well, actually, they are born with it. But in the normal part of life, it gets corrected. So when you put a baby on tummy time, which is what you're supposed to do for babies, you're supposed to put them on their stomach. It encourages their belly to have deep breathing. It encourages their diaphragm to get strong because they got to push their body up.
Right.
Okay? It encourages them to be strong kids. But what happens is they start wanting to look up because they're on their belly. And this is when the neck curve forms, when they start looking up all the time. And then they're going to want to start crawling. And the weight of their belly is going to pull their low back curve down. So as long as you do tummy time like you're supposed to and the kids go through crawling stage, that's when your curves form.
That's when...
Right.
Okay. Yeah,
but
that makes
childhood happens. And then we start getting crazy. And then we start doing all stuff that is exciting. And we start having falls and accidents and fall out of a tree and hit your head in the swimming pool.
Right.
Car accidents, fell down the stairs, sledding accidents. There's a lot of things that can knock those curves out. And then some people are just born a little bit lopsided.
Yeah.
I mean, a half an inch here and there. It's not going to kill you, but it's going to wear out your knees and your hips and stuff. So sometimes people have to have a knee replaced. But why that knee and not the other knee? You took as many steps with the one as the other one. Why is that one bad and that one's not? Well, because their hips are unlevel and their spine's misaligned and they don't carry weight the same between their legs. And every time you take a step, you may absorb 10 more pounds with that knee than the other one. But give it 30 years.
Right.
Then you'll start feeling the effects of your childhood.
Yeah.
So we want to correct these underlying problems. Not only that, but I teach people how to correct their own problems. And then we work together.
Is that with like exercises at home and things like that to do? Or
Exercises at home. And then there's devices that they need to lay backwards across and work on their posture and opening up their chest and getting their head back over their shoulders.
Which device do you recommend the most for that?
Anything works if you'll use it, but there's a device. It's a little arch called a back stretcher, and they're about $40. And if I have somebody lay back across that for 5 minutes a day, just doing it every now and then is not going to help. But if you do it for 30 days in a row at 5 minutes a day, that's 150 minutes. That's 2.5 hours. So that 5 minutes a day, as part of a lifestyle change, designed to correct problems now so you don't become your hunched over grandma down the road.
Right.
You start now. You don't wait to get sick to try to catch up. You start now. And so those 5 minutes a day after a month is 2.5 hours. And that's when it starts to affect your posture. And you can work on this stuff now. You can fix these problems. And in the end, when you're feeling better, I don't want to see you very much. I've taught you how to fix your problem. We've corrected it. We've worked together. You've got all the tools to fix your problem now. It's your hands. So you've got the power. So we worked together over a year or so correcting these problems. And then you've got the education on how to do it yourself.
So who do you recommend come see you for chiropractic work? Like what, I guess what's the patient's typical profile? I guess you would say it's someone who's experiencing neck and back pain or knee pain or kind of all of the above. Like when should somebody think, I should probably go see Dr. Mike and get a little bit of help here?
Humans, the way that we think, if it's not hurting, if it's not causing problems, we're probably not going to do too much about it. Unless you're just worried about becoming your hunched over grandma and you don't want to have that posture when you get older. But generally, if somebody's having a problem and it's affecting their quality of life and they can't play with their kids and they can't sleep and they can't carry the groceries in and they've got pain from their shoulder blade down to their arm or from their low back pain down to their leg, those are good people to come in. Let's find out why it happened. We want to treat the problem too, but we want to treat the underlying problem.
Right.
And anybody who is wanting to make a lifestyle change to get healthy and stay healthy those are my people. It's not just about patching me up for a little bit till it keeps coming back over and over. It's about this made you feel better. Let's keep doing a little bit of what made you feel better. Because
let's keep it going for a while.
Yeah, when you retire, you don't want to give all your gold to those doctors and take those drugs that you don't want. But if you don't want to take those drugs, it means you got to fix some problems.
Right.
Because you have a choice whether you realize it. You're going to fix your problem or you're going to take drugs. And if you take drugs, your problem is going to get worse over time because you're covering up the symptoms of the problem.
It's
you're
just
not
a masking thing.
You got it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so if you want to take drugs, you don't have to fix your problem, but your problem is going to get worse over time. And then when you go to retire, you're going to be just taking all kinds of drugs for different problems. Everything that somebody takes a drug for is a choice because they can fix that stuff naturally. There is an underlying imbalance somewhere, and there's probably multiple, and you were probably born unhealthy. Honestly, kids aren't born healthy. They look cute, but we're actually born sick. And in the first years of our life, we're detoxing stuff out of our bodies. And so you may have actually been born with imbalances that can be corrected. I'm not saying people don't need drugs. There is a time for everything, but 95% of them could be corrected with diet and nutrition if that's what you want to do. So my people are the ones that don't want to take the drugs and they want to fix the stuff naturally. And they're looking for the answers, and I've got them. We can figure out what the problem is. And if I can't help you, I'll get you in the hands of somebody that can.
Okay.
But my people are the ones that are looking to change themselves so that they don't have to take all those drugs and they stay naturally healthy.
Sure. Mm-hmm. How long have you been doing the chiropractic side of your business?
I've been doing chiropractic for over 20 years. I'm going on 25 years.
Okay. And how long have you been in the wellness space side of the things? I know chiropractic is a wellness side of things, but you're moving into more of like a holistic wellness kind of approach. I guess I would call it. Is that what you would call it as well?
It's a more well-rounded approach.
Yeah.
And you know, for about 10 years or so, I have been actively researching how humans actually heal. And I found out that we all heal the same way. It's the same problems over and over and over. But one big thing is we don't actually know what health is, and we think any symptoms are sickness. And that's a big deal because symptoms are not always a disease. Sometimes the body needs to purge stuff from itself. And we consume more toxins than we can get rid of on a regular basis. And so sometimes, like right now is wintertime. And I'm going to tell you right now, this whole United States is about to go through an unplanned seasonal detox. And what I mean by that is we've been trained to think that sniffles and a fever is sickness and there must be something wrong with you. And we've forgotten that the body can heal itself. We've been trained to think that the body can't heal itself and any uncomfortable symptoms must be a disease and something is actually wrong with you and you need medical intervention to give you antibiotics to reduce those symptoms. But what's really happening is we're about to go into hibernation. We're not supposed to be consuming all of this food. We're supposed to slow down in the wintertime. There's not supposed to be food everywhere. We're hunter-gatherers. If you want to eat today, go kill a squirrel and find a rabbit. I mean, go kill a squirrel and find a carrot or something. You just not that much food out there. And so the body takes this opportunity to purge a bunch of toxins out. And it comes out through our hair, through our skin, through our sweat, through our spit, through our pee, through our poop. It comes out of all of these things. And everybody's going to get quote unquote sick right now. But what they're really doing is one last good purge of toxins right before we go into hibernation at wintertime. My wife is homesick right now, sick. We need new terminology, but she's having uncomfortable symptoms with her tonsils. What is really going on is her body is purging crap out. And there's bacteria that the body can actually produce. We can produce the exact bacteria that's needed to break down what is purging out of her tonsils right now. And it's uncomfortable. And we don't like symptoms. And we've been told if it's uncomfortable, you must be sick and there's something wrong with you. But really, her body is kicking stuff out, and she needs to support that process. Because if she goes to the doctor and gets some antibiotics, because these bacteria are uncomfortable, what's going to happen is she's going to knock that, whatever the body's trying to purge out, she's going to knock it back down inside of it. So the stuff is actually trying to come out of the body. But if you take those antibiotics, you'll shove it back down, and it might come out some other way, like psoriasis,
So what do you recommend people do to support that process?
Well, first of all, stop eating so much sugar. Number one.
Yeah, sugar's the worst for
Everything
your
gets
body.
better when you stop eating so much sugar, especially when you know that wintertime's coming. Everybody's going to start having all these symptoms. It's time to straighten the diet up. But humans don't like that. We like to do whatever we want to do whenever we want to do it.
That's true.
And we're on this earth, we can do it. And that's true, but there are consequences to it. And so we don't know that what we're eating is this bad for us because we've got all these commercials on TV that say, eat all this sugar, eat all this stuff, and then go to your doctor and ask for these drugs. And we've been trained to think that that's the proper way. And even the food pyramid is not how humans are supposed to eat. That's the government guidelines for how they want us to eat.
Right.
And we're not supposed to be eating all these grains.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people nowadays, I think it's becoming more popular that food pyramid's upside down.
Mm-hmm.
Basically the one that we grew up with, it's got, all the carbohydrates and things like that on the bottom. It's like the big group you should be eating, and the protein and eggs and things, the cholesterol's on the top, when really that should probably be reversed, and you should be eating, way less carbohydrates and sugar and way more, proteins and things like that.
Let's just think logically. Do humans eat grass?
Nope. Not really.
Then why are we eating all them grains?
Right.
Cows can't even digest them. They got like 5 stomachs. They got to ferment it. That's why they fart all the time. Cows can't even digest it, and that's what they eat all day. Humans can't eat grass. It is not a sustenance food. We're meat eaters, man. Meat is all exactly in the right ratio, everything you need. It's the best multivitamin, just meat. It's already been processed by the cow. And so we're really meat eaters. And if we have to, we'll eat some vegetables. But we don't really like vegetables because there's not enough nutrition in them. And half of them, we got to cook everything too. Humans don't like eating raw food. And we don't like consuming water, for the most part. And so if we eat the way that the food pyramid says, we're going to get sick. We don't eat that way. That was never the way, the government asked for guidelines, and the researchers gave them guidelines on how to eat. And it said less dairy, less grains, but the Cattle Association said, ho, 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 whoa, what do you mean less? The dairy people said, what do you mean less dairy? And we're paying the farmers to grow grains. Okay?
Right.
It's called subsidizing. It means you can't even grow the grains and make enough money to make a living. So the farmers the government has to give you money to grow grains. And we were starving. And if the government is paying the farmers to grow grains, you're going to eat grains. But here's the thing. Here's why you need people like me. Those grains turn into morphine in your gut. It used to be called gluten morphine. And that sounds too much like gluten morphine. Gliadin is actually what's in the gluten that we respond to. So gliadomorphin is the opiate that happens when you eat that pizza and you eat that cupcake and that bread. And it makes you feel so good because it's a painkiller. It's highly addictive, and it wears off in an hour. And what do? You go grab another cookie.
You get more hungry.
You just graze. So it activates opiate painkillers. But I'm going to lay one more layer on top of it. There's a researcher, Stephanie Seneff is her name, and we interviewed her on our podcast. She's a researcher that Robert Kennedy, up in The Politician right now, he used her research to sue Monsanto because Roundup causes cancer.
Glyphosate, right?
Glyphosate. It causes cancer. And it is sprayed on that at least 3 or 4 or 5 times. And even after they pick the grains, they spray it one more time because it dries it out quicker. And it causes cancer. So that bread at the bottom of the food pyramid has been sprayed multiple times with something that causes cancer. And it's highly addictive. And it does more than that. I don't even want to get into that. But This is what we're up against. Highly addictive food that activates opiate painkillers that keeps us in an addiction reward cycle and causes cancer.
Yeah, I noticed that cycle for sure. You know, I think I've mentioned this to you before, but I have type 2 diabetes currently. And, you know, I've really significantly reduced the amount of carbohydrates and sugars that I eat in my diet. But I notice now when I do eat a pizza, I'm hungry fast again. But if I eat a steak and eggs, I can go hours and hours and hours and not feel hungry. You know, and it's like, I think it's exactly what you said. It's that reward cycle that just like activates from those grains and that kind of stuff.
And you've gotten to the point where your body's just not responding to your insulin anymore. And so it's tough regulating your blood sugar. Now your brain is going to run on two things, fat or sugar. And you know, Dr. Atkins was a Atkins diet, but he was a diabetic doctor. His whole thing was about reversing diabetes. Get your sugars under 20 grams a day or less, and you can reverse diabetes. Under 20 grams of carbs per day, and you can reverse diabetes. But your brain loves some sugar. It prefers it. But if it's not getting sugar, it needs to get fat. And so if you're going to go low sugar, you have to go high fat. Fat is not the demon. Just because cholesterol is present at heart disease doesn't mean it causes it. No more than firefighters present at a house fire. They did not cause the house fire.
Right.
They're there trying to do damage control.
And there's a bunch of new research coming out now that is like kind of backing that kind of thing up, right? That the cholesterol numbers aren't necessarily
They've already done all the
correlation
research.
to
That's a distraction.
That kind of stuff.
It's a distraction. We know how it works. You can do new research, but they're just redoing old research. Cholesterol is there to help to repair the problem. They gave away a long time ago, they gave away a Nobel Prize to a guy named Linus Pauling, and he was a vitamin C researcher. Humans have a genetic issue, and we do not make vitamin C. Every other animal on Earth, except for humans and monkeys, and I think guinea pigs, every other animal, their bodies make vitamin C. Vitamin C deficiency directly causes heart disease. And we don't make vitamin C. And every other animal does. That's why dogs don't get heart disease. That's why cats don't get heart disease. Monkeys, elephants, nobody gets heart disease but humans because we have lost the ability to make vitamin C.
Interesting.
Yeah. Vitamin C makes your arteries real soft and rubbery and able to expand. And when you don't get enough vitamin C, they turn into like a water hose in the sun. They get cracks in them. And they can't expand, and they're not rubbery. They're hard plastic. You following me? Vitamin C deficiency equals cracks. You ever do drywall?
Yeah.
You know what spackle is?
Yep.
So spackle comes in the cracks. It fills it in.
Right.
That's what cholesterol is. It's spackle. It's trying to reinforce the cracks in the walls because you're vitamin C deficient. The more vitamin C deficient, the more cholesterol.
How do you recommend people get their vitamin C?
Whole foods. Back to the old apple a day. Or drinks that have it in it. Or if you need to get it from a pill, it needs to say whole food vitamin C because vitamin C is not ascorbic acid. That's a part of the ascorbyl molecule, but it's a big molecule and it doesn't work by itself. It needs the vitamin C. It needs the whole vitamin C complex with the associated bioflavonoids to activate it. So ascorbic acid by itself is okay, but it's an incomplete molecule. It's like that car out there, looks like a car, but if you take the engine out and you take the transmission out and the gas pedal out and the steering wheel out, it looks like a car, but it ain't going to work.
It's not driving.
Yeah, you need the whole vitamin C molecule.
Yeah. What's your diet philosophy personally then? Like what are you eating on a daily basis kind of?
Well, I have gotten myself under control. And what that means is that I intentionally do not eat all day long. The more I eat, the hungrier I am. And if I eat breakfast, I am going to be hungry at lunch. If I don't eat breakfast, I'm not hungry at lunch. So for me, the less I eat, the better I feel. And I have recently switched over to doing carnivore.
Okay.
I've done 2 or 3 podcasts on the carnivore diet. And it's not about eating meat, and it's not a diet. It has everything you possibly need in there. You don't even need vitamins. Honestly, if you just eat carnivore, it's got everything in a perfect ratio. And you can eat as much as you want to. There's no diet part of it. But it's about not eating vegetables. It's about not eating things because there's a lot in the vegetables that we react to. And people get a lot of joint pains and a lot of fatigue, and they feel just yucky all over. And it's amazing. We've been taught to eat vegetables, but if you eat that way, you're going to probably get sick.
Yeah.
And by omitting that from my diet, a lot of fatigue's gone away. I'm sleeping better at night. The joint pains. I mean, the weight loss just comes off because you're not consuming a lot of inflammatory stuff that you didn't know was inflammatory. So I've really had to do my own research, and I stopped listening to what people have taught me. People that were smarter than me that I trusted. I've got to go do my own research on stuff. And I've learned that 80-90% of what I was taught in school was just flat out wrong.
Yeah. I've read about the carnivore diet. I feel like everything I've read about it and kind of, I don't follow it strictly, but I have tried adding significantly more meat into my diet and less vegetables and less bread and, no less pasta and, like that kind of stuff. And I feel better when I do it. I'm full longer, that kind of stuff. But it goes against everything that we were taught growing up. And so I feel like it's hard to convince people that it's the okay thing to do. And when you try to discuss it with people, they kind of freak out right away. Hey, you're not eating vegetables. You're not eating fruit. You're just eating meat.
Yeah.
And it's like.
Yeah. Getting your health and losing your health has a way of making you more open-minded.
Sure.
Towards stuff. We are our own problem, and we cause this problem by what we put in our mouth. And just because there's consequences and you don't know them doesn't mean you're immune to them.
Right.
Be open-minded about stuff, because I like vegetables. I don't honestly like doing the carnivore. I really don't. I miss the vegetables and the fruit and stuff, but I like the results.
Right.
And I like the reward. It's so easy to cook some meat on a Sunday, and I do eggs throughout the week too. But just cook meat on a Sunday and then eat throughout the week on that. We do one load of laundry. It takes 5 minutes to eat, 10 minutes to eat. It takes 5 minutes to cook it up. 15 minutes, we're already eating, and the stuff's already cleaned up.
Right.
It saves so much time.
Yeah.
It saves so many plates. But there's a whole come up addiction wrapped around eating.
There is, yeah.
Just like a drug. You've got the part where you got to go, let's talk about alcohol. You got to go get the alcohol. You got to go to the store. You got to get it, buy it, get it from the guy, bring it home, have it ready, put it in the fridge. That way, when you open it, it's all there. And then you get to enjoy it. There's this whole aspect about drugs, and food is a drug. And I miss that. I miss cooking. I'm a great cook. I miss the camaraderie of being in the kitchen. I don't miss the cleanup, but there's a certain amount of, as the food's almost done and you prepared it, you're about ready for it, and the build up, and then you get the food, and there's the and there's the release, and then there's the after, and then there's the come down. Just like, that has flatlined. Like, I don't get any of those ups and downs. Like, it's all flatlined. The food is not an addiction like it used to be. It's just food.
I don't know if you listen to the Joe Rogan Experience podcast
Sometimes.
at all, but I think he says it really well, and he says that food addiction is one of the only addictions that you actually have to do the thing to live. Right? If you're addicted to alcohol, you don't have to have alcohol. You can cut yourself off cold turkey. Same with cigarettes, nicotine, things like that. But if you have a food addiction, you still got to eat every day.
It's everywhere.
And it's, so it's like one of the only addictions that you still have to like indulge in just to survive, which is really challenging kind of thing for people. And I think that's a very like kind of good way to put it. But I think you're exactly right with the food, I think we're trained that way by society. It's like, what do you do with your friends? You go have dinner. What do you do with your family? You sit down at the dinner table and have a big dinner and talk and, do things like that. It's just kind of part of our societal culture that, we do things with food and gather around food and do things like that as well.
Yeah.
And so
you do lose that. Now I'll sit there and talk and, but you do lose that.
Yeah.
But what you gain is peace of mind, because you don't have the ups and the downs and the ups and the downs.
Yeah.
And in my whole health journey, that is the biggest thing I got back, is peace of mind. And I have to make my decisions based on what give me peace of mind. You know, I don't always want peace of mind. Sometimes I want to go see what they're doing over there.
Sure.
You know, or I want to go see what that thing tastes like.
Yeah.
But it doesn't end. Like if I go, you know, my weakness is chocolate. And if I eat some chocolate, it doesn't end there because it'll stir it back up. And I'm trying to get flatline peace of mind, you know, just nice, smooth, level life, not ups and downs all over the place.
I find it interesting. Like I've off and on, I'll wear a continuous glucose monitor so I can kind of keep an eye on my blood sugar levels, right? And see what happens and things like that. If I go meat only, my blood sugar stays flat all day. For, you know, if I do multiple days in a row, only meat all day, my blood sugar is just basically the same. You know, I get a little bit of fluctuation in the morning. When I wake up, it goes up a little high, but then it comes back down again. You know, it's really interesting to see. But if I throw in, you know, a rice, a pasta, a pizza, you know, my blood sugar spikes so high. And then when that insulin kicks in, you know, it drops the sugar real low. And then before you know it, I'm sleepy, you know, and I'm ready to take a nap. And, you know, I never really growing up or, you know, in the past correlated it to, you know, those types of foods. But when you watch it in real time with the, you know, the CGM, the continuous glucose monitor, you can really tie together how the food is making you feel. And you can see it on the graph, and then you tie that to your body. You just have to be kind of aware of it, I think, is kind of the thing to do, you know, that kind of thing. But I think it's a super helpful tool if you're trying to figure that kind of stuff out. And
you know, you can reverse type 2 diabetes.
That's what they say.
Don't let them fool you. You can do it. But your body, you know, people, no offense to you, but people just, you know, your body just gets sick, tired of all that sugar. And it's almost like, this is my opinion, you know, but it's like I'm kind of here on this earth and I kind of don't have a purpose. I'm here. I'm trying to figure out what I'm here for. And I just go from one place to another looking for rewards, just one after another.
Right.
I mean, we are so trained for dopamine, and that's a reward. When you have dopamine, it rewards you. But really, what we're looking for is peace of mind. So there was a change that happened. This feels good. I want some more. Became, this feels good. I'm content.
I'm going to stay here.
I'm content. That's serotonin. That's the peace of mind and the balance that we're going for.
Yeah.
But I like getting crazy and doing stuff that throws it off just like any other ones,
Yeah.
like anybody else. But you got to be aware of it. And until I was aware of it, I didn't realize that I'm just going from one thing to another, just looking for rewards. And the reward wears off and I want some more.
Right.
That's the addiction cycle.
Yeah.
But intentionally, that's what I want, but that's not healthy anymore. You know, it's really hard for me and humans to regulate ourselves. When our emotions tell us we want something, then logic goes out the window and we're going to do it.
Right.
And so it's really hard for me to say, hey, I got myself into this situation. And if I continue doing that, I'm going to stay in this situation. It's going to get worse. So I've got to regulate myself. And it's really hard to do.
It is.
And you can't do it perfect.
No. I mean, some people can.
You can, but those people, I don't understand those people that can just do everything perfect. It's like,
yeah, it's hard.
You got to have some little sway, or at least I do.
Yeah.
But it's a matter of getting back on track. Don't get into the sugar for too long. Don't get into the unhealthy habits for too long. You can do it, but the way I keep myself under control is 2 times a year, I have to do a detox off of everything that I put in my mouth, that I put in my body, that I put in my environment. All the stimulants, all the coffee, all the sugar, all the anything. Like if it's not directly helping me produce energy to heal with, it's just another toxin that the body's got to kick out of the body.
Do you do that by fasting, or how do you do that detox?
Well, for a week or so, I fast. Now, that's not for everybody, but for a week or so, I give my body a total break. And your body's got enough energy to digest food or heal itself. And digesting of food takes priority over healing. So if you've got food in your belly all day long, like you get up and you eat breakfast at 9, and then lunch at 12, and then snacking at 3 and 4 and 5, and dinner at 6, and then snacking at 7, 8, 9, and you go to bed at 9, and then it's going to take 3 more hours to digest that protein. From 9 o'clock in the morning until midnight, roughly, you're doing nothing but digesting food all day long. You ain't healing. If you got a belly full of food, you're not healing. So the purpose of fasting is to give yourself a break. It lets all the energy and the physical matter get out of your body. So when your colon cleans out and there's nothing down there but water, all of your energy is going towards digestion, not digestion, but it's going towards healing your digestion or healing your brain or cleaning the clutter out of your blood or fixing your back problems. If food is a distraction when it comes to healing. So when you fast, you're getting all of that food out of there and all of your energy is going towards healing.
And you do that for a week, twice a year?
I fast for a week going into 5 more weeks of detox.
Okay.
And I get all of the junk out of my diet, especially all the sugar. I usually take some supplements to either address yeast or bacterial issues or parasites. There are herbals that you can take to actively kill off those things.
But that's all post-fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's all post-fast. That's when I start introducing the food back into my diet, and it's going to be carnivore is what it's going to be. So no junk and nothing but good. And then some supplements to kill off. These are targeted antimicrobial type supplements for a specific purpose.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds extreme, right? To fast for a week and then do another 5 weeks of a detox. And I know you believe in it and you're passionate about it. Where would you recommend people start on a smaller scale if they, because I think it's hard for people to think I'm going to do a water fast for a week.
No, they don't have to do that. They don't have to do that.
What's the shortest amount of time you think that would be?
The thing with the fast, it don't become fun until day 4.
Okay.
And that's when people want to break it. And so if you've never fasted before, there's a feeling that happens when you're not hungry. And it takes 3 days to get all this junk out and you get over into weight loss mode, which is called ketosis. It takes about 3. The 4th day is, when you're going to get into it. So if you start fasting Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, maybe Friday is when you're going to get into ketosis. And that's the weekend. And that's when people want to break the fast. So those first 3 days is when the yeast is dying off and you're emitting a lot of toxins. And when you stop feeding the yeast sugar, it's going to die off. But the yeast was actually breaking down toxins in your body. It's breaking down heavy metals that humans can't break down. It's breaking down chemicals. Stuff like glyphosate can be broken down by yeast and parasites. And so day 4 is when you get to feel the fun part of the fast. That's when you're sleeping great. Your energy, just trust me, it goes through the roof and you will not be hungry, 0%. And at that point, you can fast as long as you want to. Your body will tell you when it's time to come off the fast. And it's usually like day 20 or so. But it's a weird feeling to have no food in you, be hollow on the inside, but your energy level is just crazy. And you're sleeping and you feel wonderful, but you're hollow. But people around you don't understand why you're doing a fast either. So you don't do it to lose weight.
I think that's the tricky part.
Yeah.
Because we all have family, we all have friends. A lot of people aren't going to be supportive of a fast that long, probably, right? They're going to be concerned for you, worried about you.
Screw them.
They think you're going to pass out, whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
What's the longest fast that you've done personally? 20 days?
20 days, yeah. And that's why I told you 20 days, my body told me it was time to come off of it. If you don't eat for a week, your family don't like it.
No.
And if you don't eat for a weekend, they don't like it. And if you go the next week all the way to Friday and you still ain't ate, they really don't like it. They don't like, I'll sit there with my wife while she eats dinner and look at her. We'll talk, but you ain't eating. Like, no, I'm not hungry. Why would I eat if I'm not hungry? But this has been going on since the Bible. This has been going on since the beginning of time. We are supposed to go through periods of famine. We are not supposed to have food everywhere. We don't have to have 3 meals a day. We don't have to even eat today. And once you get down into ketosis, like sometimes I just slip into ketosis on accident, just normally, and I might not eat for a day or 2, but I'm not hungry. And it's like, if I'm not hungry, why am I intentionally going to eat? Because I'm supposed to. Doing all that stuff I'm supposed to do got me sick.
Right.
Doing what you told me was right got me sick. And now I want to keep listening to you about how to get healthy? Ain't no way. And so the less I eat, the better I feel.
Yeah.
And the more I eat, the more fatigued I am. And you wouldn't know that unless you've been down the path I've been down. All that weight drags you down. All that sugar makes you fatigued. And you can't sleep at night, and you're up peeing all the time because, the sugar wears off and it's a diuretic, and then it makes you got to pee all the time. We can't sleep at night. It really negatively affects it.
Yeah. So I'm pretty excited because I just bought a half a beef.
Okay.
It's going to be ready the last week of December from the butcher shop.
Okay.
So come January, I don't know if I'm going to say like I'm going to be like a strict carnivore diet, but I'm definitely going to lean more towards it because my freezer is going to be full of meat. So would you recommend a little fast before I start that?
That's just up to you. That's a personal thing. Fasting is totally a personal thing, but it's about getting myself under control.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, it's about getting peace of mind. And so if you've never done it, I did a 2-day, 1-day, 2-day, 3-day fast, but it don't get fun till day 4. And that's just a personal thing. But
is it different for everybody?
Everybody's goals are different. And some people, you don't start off on a 20-day fast because your brain don't know what to think. Oh, you're going to die.
Right.
No, the first time you're all in your head and your brain doesn't know what to think. But the second time you do it 6 months later, it's gotten a little used to it. And the third time you've done it 6 months later, it kind of, this thing again.
You kind of almost need to build up to it over the course of a couple detox cycles.
To not listen to your brain so much. And it's your brain artificially hyping things up, and we believe it. Oh, this is so dangerous. No, it's not. You're not going to die. It's totally fine. But when you lose 15 pounds on a detox and you get your weight under control and you feel better and you sleep better and your clothes are fitting better, and you're like, oh, maybe there's something to this. Maybe I should continue this. So what I actually did, and I haven't even told you about this, but I built a program, and it's taken me 10 years to build this program. How do we fix pretty much everything that's wrong with you internally? I'm talking metabolically. I'm not talking your back pain and your shoulder issue.
This is the wellness side of your business.
This is the game changer health recovery process, which is in addition to the wellness side of our business.
Okay.
But this is a process that I could take people through, that I do take people through. We fail to heal because we get too many chemicals in our bodies. And it's not about bacteria, infections and stuff. We get too much junk and clutter internally, and we can't get it out of us. And we get malnourished, and our minerals get out of balance. How do we just fix everything that's wrong without doing any testing? When they're doing this blood test, they're not even looking in the right area of the body for what's going on. Your blood should always be perfect. So they're trying to look in the blood, which should always be perfect, to find out what's wrong, but the blood should always be perfect. What's going on in the blood is not the problem. It's the symptoms of the problem. So how do we just fix everything that's wrong with somebody? And what I learned is the thing that's wrong with you is the same thing that's wrong with everybody. Lack of power is their dilemma. And it always has been. Lack of power.
What do you mean by that?
Energetic healing power. Your body can heal until it can't. What happens? Why can it not continue to heal? And there's certain things that happen, and they kind of happen in order. And so what I've learned is if we don't focus on the symptoms, because all of those diseases, multiple sclerosis, Lyme disease, autoimmune disease, irritable bowel, well, that's a syndrome. All of these things that we've given these titles to have nothing to do with what the underlying problem actually is. These diseases like multiple sclerosis is what happens when you have the problem. What happens with multiple sclerosis is stuff slips in our body that shouldn't need to be there. And some of it goes to the brain, and the brain doesn't like it, so it starts putting a wall around it, and it puts a cyst around it. And those are the white spots that are in the brain. What's in the white spots? Bacteria, stuff like Lyme disease. How did it get in there? Well, we poisoned ourselves. And this stuff that should have gotten killed in our intestines actually slips into our bodies, and it goes different places. And then it starts causing problems. But the problems that it caused aren't the actual problem. Why did it slip into the body? Why did your immune system fail? Why did stuff in the gut allow stuff to slip and leak into the body like that? These are the underlying problems. And the symptoms are what we think are the problem. That's the titles they give on the diseases. Those are the titles of the symptoms, but that's not the problem.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is we're putting stuff in our bodies that don't belong there. All of this man-made stuff is generally acidic in nature. And when you put a bunch of acidic stuff in your body starts getting acidic internally. And what happens, bacteria express themselves in acidity. So does yeast. And if it gets worse and worse, you're just getting more shifted from healthy. The further away from healthy you get, the more significant the problems get.
So what's the program kind of designed to do, or, I guess kind of walk us through the program a little bit and kind of what you're doing for people?
So there's really a couple different parts of the program. One is internal detoxification. We've got to get the junk out of the body that slipped in there. But before that, we have to fix how the person produces energy. And they produce energy from their food. So we have to break our food down properly. So fixing type 2 diabetes is pretty much the same as fixing multiple sclerosis. And it all starts with our teeth. Because our teeth are supposed to break down the food. And it's supposed to get down into our stomach and actually be broken down.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't have any teeth in our stomach. It's supposed to be chewed up. We don't chew our food. We chew, swallow, swallow, just as fast as possible. And then we get this undigested food in our stomach, and we're like, well, you deal with it. I'm not going to chew it up. You deal with it, stomach. Well, the stomach's not designed to do that. And so we don't break our foods down, especially our proteins. Our proteins get into our guts unbroken down. And what happens is we've poisoned ourselves so much that we've got a gut wall that's become loose, and it's supposed to be tight like Fort Knox, but the gut wall gets loose and there gets gaps in it. And these big proteins that are undigested slip into our bloodstream. And undigested proteins should never be in the bloodstream. That's an emergency. Proteins are supposed to be broken down into amino acids. That's what gets into our bloodstream, and then our body reforms them into proteins. So we've got things that we can optimize. Slow down. Chew your food. Break it down. Mix it with your saliva so when it gets down into your stomach, it's broken down. We're making you more efficient. We're making it so you actually break down your food and get it right in the right form that your cells need it. So you've got to fix all these different steps. Every place that your food goes to needs to be addressed. It needs to be broken down better in the stomach. The gut lining needs to be repaired. The bacteria are all out of balance. There's too much yeast in there. That stuff's got to be addressed. The gut lining needs to be healed, and there's supplements for it. It'll take I don't think a year's long enough, but I think 2 years is plenty. So let's say it takes 2 years for you to heal your digestion. Then you get the nutrients into the bloodstream. I'm going to simplify it, but it needs to be cleared and cluttered, and all this undigested junk needs to be broken down. You need to get the food into your cells. And the cells, the walls are full of toxins. I mean, when we talk about detox, it's not about parasites. The toxins are actually stored in the cell walls. These are like glyphosate and pesticides and herbicides and synthetic petroleum-based products and those forever chemicals and the stuff that's making boys change into girls. There's chemicals in the water that are making people change sexes. That stuff gets into our bodies, but it needs to be pulled back out, and it gets stored in our fat. And so we've got products to do each one of these steps, but all of it is designed to get the nutrition into your cells, into these things called mitochondria, and that's where the energy's made. But you got to fix all these steps first to get it into the right form to say, here, make energy out of it. But like an engine's got an exhaust too. And you got to get that exhaust cleaned up. And there's imbalances that happen. Humans have an issue with iron. Iron gets stuck in places that it shouldn't be instead of in our blood. When it's not in your blood, people say I'm anemic. And they think it means they don't have any iron in their body, but their body's just slammed full of iron. It's just in the wrong spot. It's not in the blood. So there's actually systems in the body that are designed to remove iron and put it back in the blood, but it gets stuck inside those mitochondria. And that's where oxygen and iron come together and they make like free radicals, which is kind of like a dirty exhaust from a diesel truck. You seen those things?
Mm-hmm.
The big black exhaust coming out. When you don't make energy clean, that's what the exhaust looks like. And that's not healthy for us. So we've actually got to actually clean the exhaust. We've got to clean the inside of the engine. We've got to clean the blood. We've got to repair the digestive lining. We've got to fix those bacteria that are out of balance. We've got to digest our food properly. We got to chew it. And once we get that digestion worked on, then we got to address metals and heavy metals. People got a lot of mercury fillings in their teeth. It's never been approved for put in the mouth ever. Never. It's never changed since the Civil War. Mercury is one step below radioactive. And you don't hear this. This is why you need me. They put stuff one step below radioactive in people's mouths, and then you wonder why you don't feel good. It's a poison.
Are they still doing mercury
Yeah,
fillings
they're
these
still
days?
the American Dental Association 100% pro amalgam. I don't care what they say. They're pro amalgam. Every dentist that's ever put mercury fillings in somebody's mouth is liable because it was never approved. I don't care that they taught you to do it. You did it. It was never approved. It causes brain poisoning. It causes poisoning. But not just that, but aluminum causes poisoning too. And that's in our pots and our pans and our soft drinks and them beer cans we were talking about. Aluminum causes Alzheimer's and autism directly by the area of the brain, the hippocampus that it goes to. They go there and they cause Alzheimer's and autism. So you've got to remove the aluminum. You've got to remove the mercury, the cadmium, the bismuth. Those are toxins that we know how to remove. We know how to get the petroleum-based products and the glyphosate and the stuff that's been manufactured in the lab, like the plastic water bottles. We're not supposed to have all that plastic, synthetic, petroleum-based stuff that causes cancer. And so we've got to remove everything that we know to remove, just systematically. And removing heavy metals from the brain is different than removing plastics from the cell walls.
So break the program down into like steps.
The first step, the first year is the biggest one. You give me a year, and we're going to be really focused on the digestion. We're going to be focused on correcting underlying problems, not treating symptoms. We're fixing the digestion problem. We're fixing the gut problem. We're fixing the bowel problem, the leaky gut bowel lining. We're fixing these problems. We're fixing the clutter in the blood.
And is that all done through coaching, or is it done through supplements or food, diet? Like what's like the overarching principle to make that happen, I guess?
I want people to be able to fix themselves. And I don't want to have to teach every single person how to do it. So I've shot videos. I got about 10 of them. And these 10 videos are the things that we need to correct. Watch the video, and it's going to do a deep dive. If you're a deep dive type of person and you want to know the guts, how it works, I'm an educator. We'll do a deep dive on each one of these things. And if you correct these things, you're going to get better. The first, it takes about a year to get through, to get everything in place for the digestion. And you just do one thing at a time. We've got time. You don't do a whole bunch. You don't know how somebody's going to react. Just one thing, one step at a time. After that first year, you still need to do the work. You still need to keep taking those supplements. But like I said, after about 2 years, the digestion will be healed. You don't need to keep taking those supplements anymore because we've actually fixed a problem. So you move on to another phase. You don't keep taking the stuff forever. Once you fix a problem, you don't need that product no more. So give me a year. We'll go through and we'll have all the gut digestion stuff in place. They needed to keep taking that for another year. But the second year, if they want to keep furthering their journey, they need to address those fillings in the teeth. And that honestly could take a year. So the second year, if they want to continue, they're going to have to address those fillings in the teeth. And they usually do 1/4 of the mouth at a time.
So they have to go in and like actually remove them.
They have to go in,
put in something new.
Yes. And there's a very special way to do it. And they wear a spacesuit pretty much. You've got a suit on. You've got your own source of oxygen. You've got high volume suction in your mouth. because they don't want to expose themselves to your mercury fillings because it's a biohazard. Remember, as soon as they pull it out of the mouth, it's a biohazard. They got to put it in special containers to.
So a normal dentist isn't doing this for you.
A normal dentist can remove them, but they're going to get in there and drill them out, and they're going to expose you to a lot of mercury, and they're going to expose themselves to mercury, and they're going to expose the people in the waiting room to your mercury. A normal dentist isn't trained on how to remove them safely. They can do it, but if you're very sick, you need to go to a specialty dentist who does a specialty procedure to not re-expose you to all this mercury stuff, because it is a biohazard. As soon as you take it out of the mouth, it becomes a biohazard. But once it's inside the mouth, it's fine. That's what they say. It's not. It's a total toxin. And you're wondering why you can't sleep and you're not healing right. And mercury damage affects the ability of the body to make enzymes, which are needed to repair everything and to make all your hormones. And if you're poisoned and you can't make the enzymes, you can't run the body. It's just dismantling you from within slowly over the course of a lifetime. And you think it's normal to feel this way, but it's not. You just only know you. You don't know the bigger picture of everybody else.
So you're having people learn to chew, fix their gut, address fillings in their teeth. What comes after that?
That is pretty much it.
That's the program, essentially?
I have fixed everything I know to fix. I've pulled everything out of the body that I know how to pull out. There's other intricacies in there I left out, but we're essentially rebuilding your vitality and your ability to heal and just your natural ability to thrive by removing as many toxins. If I could find other ones to get out, I'd do it. But this is the best I could do. I've pulled out everything I know to pull out. I've fixed how you chew your food and how you digest your food. I've fixed your leaky gut syndrome. We've got some energy back into you. And all this other stuff's not dragging you down. They're going to lose weight because every 6 months we're going to do a little detox. And during those detoxes, they're going to learn how to eat properly. And then they're going to lose weight. And over time, they're going to know how to eat properly. And they're going to know how to detox that stuff out of the body. After the detox, for me, sugar and stuff will creep back into my diet. But 6 months later, I'm going to get it back out again. Mm-hmm. And then it'll creep back, and I'm going to get it back out. That's how I keep myself under control. And if it's for somebody, then we'll let them do it. But that's how you systematically restore health, by fixing underlying problems. You don't have to do a bunch of testing to see what the symptoms of the problem are. The actual problems don't show up in the blood work. The blood work should always be perfect. And the blood work ain't going to tell you what's going on in your brain or in your tissues. It's going to tell you what's going on in the blood.
So, and I don't think we have a ton of time left, but when I went to tour your office, are a lot of those gadgets and things you have help with that process? Like the sauna and the hydrogen water and what was the other thing? The oxygen.
Yeah, we've got oxygen therapy and we've got a energy balancing foot bath. All of my treatments are designed just to bring your body back down to normal. Down or up. It's just designed to balance it back out. You can't get healthier than healthy. And so we just want to keep going in the right direction. So we've got chiropractic care, but what else can we do in addition to chiropractic? So for the wellness center, we've got 3 or 4 different therapies that they can do in addition to chiropractic. So if you come in, my favorite one is by far the infrared sauna. You're going to come in, you get adjusted. We restore the neurospinal integrity so that the body can run itself. That keeps you healthy. They go get in the sauna. When you're in the sauna, the infrared light charges you internally like a battery. It's not all about the heat. It's about the infrared light. When your body gets warm, you will start to release toxins. And I have them drink a highly oxygenated ozone water while they're in the sauna because it's an immune system stimulant, regulator, and it'll cause things to flush. Once it kills something, it'll flush it out of the body. So they get in the sauna, they charge their battery up, they get a good sweat on for 20 minutes or so, and they drink that water, which is going to encourage stuff to flush out of. On a regular basis, these are things that you can do to stay healthy. Don't wait to get sick when you got to do a whole bunch all at once. Do a little bit along the way. Or they can breathe the hydrogen gas and drink the hydrogen water. It's the smallest molecule we got. It'll go all throughout the body. It'll go right up into the brain. In places like Japan, they have hydrogen bars like a coffee bar where they stop on the way to work. They do a hydrogen therapy and it peps them up. And then they go on to work. It's donating electrons. That's going to help the body break stuff down into water. It's going to help it detoxify. And if you do the hydrogen, it will detoxify for you. So it saves your liver and it'll help it.
Are there any
out.
good consumer hydrogen products out there?
Hydrogen therapy has been around for a long time, but you're starting to hear about it. But we run on hydrogen and oxygen. Anytime you can get H's and O's into you, it's going to be good. They have the hydrogen pellets, which are better than nothing. You put it in the water and it bubbles and it fizzes like an Alka-Seltzer or something.
Yeah,
It produces
I've
hydrogen.
seen those.
It's better than nothing, but it's on the low end of strength. And so when you actually go breathe the straight hydrogen, that's really what you're after. And then as you're breathing it, you're also bubbling it through a water. So once you breathe it, you've made this hydrogen water, which we put in your glass, and then you here drink your hydrogen water too. You really need the setups in the doctor's offices for strength wise. But if you want to do the hydrogen pellets, just do more than one a day. You know, consistency matters more than dosage sometimes. You know, do it twice a day versus once.
Gotcha.
It's easier to tote them around, but you're just not going to get the better benefits.
What about those water bottles that say they're like hydrogen water bottles?
That's what I'm talking about. Stuff like that. It's better than nothing.
Better than nothing.
Yeah. And, but molecularly, if you're breathing straight hydrogen for 20 minutes, it's going to be a whole heck of a lot more than what little bubbles happen. And a lot of the bubbles are going to escape. The hydrogen is going to escape anyway. So it's got from, you know, the bottom to the top of the glass to absorb into it. If the glass was taller and skinnier, it would have longer to absorb. You see what I mean? So it's just, it's better than nothing, but it's not as effective as you would think.
Gotcha.
And the other thing that we have is an energy balance or foot bath. You put your feet in water, and there's two parts of the therapy. There's the first half, there's the second half. It's going to put negative charge into you, then it's going to put a positive charge into you. And it helps to balance your energy systems. Also, the water will change colors. As part of the energy balancing that happens, it will detoxify. And there will be stuff in the water that was not in there before the water. It's kind of a gimmick to look at the water and say, ooh, look how these colors, blue means gallbladder and yellow means liver or something. I don't buy into that too much. I think that it's the energy balancer. It will balance your energy systems and it will promote detoxification. But it does more than just make the water colors and detoxify. People sleep phenomenal, pretty much on all these therapies. When they go home at night, they sleep great. But it's all about producing energy. How do you get the body producing energy more effectively? You get rid of the baggage and then you give it what it needs. And then you just get out the way and let the body run. You know, you don't have to be, the goal is not to have to take supplements your whole life.
Right.
Or at least a lot of them. But sometimes you need them for targeted things, but you fix a problem and then you don't need that. You're always going to need vitamin C and you're always going to need magnesium. That's just a given.
Which version of magnesium do you recommend? Because there's so many out there when you go.
There's so many of them. There's one called magnesium malate, which is really good for muscle soreness and muscle pain. There's another one that I fought for a long time. It's called magnesium threonate. And they've bonded it to something that will cross into the blood-brain barrier and get into the brain. And it has really significantly helped people sleep. People with not able to do higher order brain functions, juggle, multitask. That's a special version of it. I fought it for a long time.
I take that one every day. Magnesium 3 and 8.
Yeah, you got to take, I don't know, I take 2 of them at night and maybe 1 of them in the morning.
Yep.
But I fought it for a long time until I looked into what it actually was. And they bound the magnesium to something that already has a receptor on the blood-brain barrier. The brain is designed to accept it. And so that's how the magnesium gets through the blood-brain barrier, is whatever they bound it to. That magtein is the thing, magtein. That's the one that'll cross the blood-brain barrier. And I've seen significant results with it. So you can't go wrong with malate or magnesium threonate. Magnesium oxide is such low quality that it actually takes more energy to transport it into the cell than it's going to help the cell even make. You can use it, but it's going to cost you to even use it.
What about the glycinate?
Glycinate and bisglycinate are another very fine, acceptable form of magnesium. We've got a powder. Sometimes we use it at night before bed, and then we'll even put magnesium sulfate or chloride. It's a cream, and my wife likes to put it on her calves before bed because it'll keep them from going into spasm and cramping up.
Yeah.
And so all of them are pretty good. Just stay away from the citrate, stay away from the oxide. There's just low quality people that if you even see them selling that product, you might want to stay away from the whole company because they sell crap products.
Right.
That they know don't work very well, but they're cheap and you get them because they're cheap, but it's a form that your body don't even like.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, I really appreciate you coming here today. If people are interested in working with you, learning more, I think you have a couple different channels on ways people can connect with you. Why don't you share those now and let people know how they can find you? What's the best way? If they're interested in your program, how do they get a hold of that?
Okay.
That kind of thing.
Right. Well, my business is called Modern Chiropractic and Wellness Center. It's in Louisville, Kentucky. modernchiroky.com is the website. And you can find pretty much everything on there. We do have a fairly robust social media outlets. We've got a Lyme disease, autoimmune, environmental medicine support group that's on Rumble. I've also got the Game Changer Health Recovery Process on Rumble. If you go to our YouTube, which is Modern Chiro KY, there's a lot of miracle type testimonials of us helping people with nerve damage, neuropathy, scarring on the brain, Cipro antibiotic damage to their tendons. We've got a lot of testimonials from things that you don't equate with chiropractic. And there's technology that I use, which are frequency energy-based devices to get those results. So if somebody is looking for help and they can't find the help anywhere, I've got equipment that works. And it's not just what you think of normal chiropractic, but chiropractors can do things that you don't know about. So if I can't help you, I'll help you find the right person. Give me a call. And if I can't help you, I'll help you find the right person.
And I've been in your office. I've seen all the equipment. There's a lot of things that I've never seen in anybody else's office. So yeah, definitely, if you guys are interested, give Dr. Mike a call. Yeah. Well, Mike, I appreciate you for being here. I really enjoyed the conversation. I think there's a lot of information there for people to absorb and digest and things like that. And like I said, you're very passionate about it. You can tell it comes through with the way you talk about things. And so I really appreciate that.
When you know how to heal, it's fun. And when you realize that 90% of what you were taught in school is not even true, and if you listen to them, you're going to have a tough time healing. That was a big shift when I realized that there's a whole different way to look at all of this. And the biggest issue is we think the symptoms are the problem. That's the biggest issue.
Right.
As soon as the symptoms go away, we think we're good. That paradigm shift opened a door to actually what healing truly is. Like actually fixing stuff and resolving problems, it opened the door.
Sure.
I appreciate you.
All right. Thanks. Appreciate it.